Finally, we had just the one child, and for 2 years, and then this past fall, she went off to college. And so we were alone for the first time in 22 years. And for me, it was like a woman waking up, discovering almost a total stranger in bed with her, but it was like waking up from a coma, and it was great.
Sexuality and sensuality are with us throughout life, but they change. They go through seasons. And today we're learning more about how things go once the years of raising children are over. Many middle-aged couples recall that when the kids were growing up, sex was like, well, brushing your teeth.
You brush, you floss, you go to bed, you make love, and fall asleep after the 11 o'clock news every night.
But when the kids aren't around anymore, these couples say, a new season arrives, another spring. Now there's time for sensuality. As one movie character said,
I like long, slow, wet kisses that last for 3 days.
This woman's awakening is not unique, according to Dr. June Reinisch.
So starting in early 40s, there are many couples who report that, in fact, this is the best time for them. The most sensual, the most sexual, that they rediscover each other after the children have left, and that they find that their sex life is better and more exciting than it even was when they were young people.
Freedom from the fear of pregnancy helps. Today, more middle-aged couples are taking advantage of some form of sterilization. It's now the #1 form of birth control over the age of 40. Around the age of 50, menopause provides additional freedom for many women. After that, in the 60s and 70s, a lot depends on the state of your health. You may not have sex as often.
The interest that I have in that connection is, to slightly exaggerate, almost continuous. I have no problems with interest. Downward, the response isn't quite the same as the interest from the neck up.
Right. At my age, it comes in moves, you know. It comes in moves, and your performance all depends on the time between the first and the last time. In my particular case, I guess the longer I lay off, the better I am, you know.
For genital sexuality to continue into the 60s and 70s, says Dr. Reinisch, some change in technique may be necessary. Men and women at that age may need more stimulation to reach orgasm.
One of my favorite stories to tell with regard to that is about Louis XIV. When he was 72 and his wife was 70, she went to her father confessor. And in those days, the confessors used to keep notes to send to Rome about what the kings and queens were talking about in confession or when they came for advice. And she came to her father confessor and said, please, Father, the king wants to have sex twice a day. And of course, I always say yes. But don't you think that now that he's 72 and I'm 70, couldn't I say no once a day to him? And the father confessor said, no, my child, when the king is happy, France is happy.
But twice a day, or even twice a week, may not be the point. Orgasm is still possible in old age, but some people enjoy something other than orgasm. Yet another season of sexuality.
As I get older, the sex act itself has become less important to me, partly because of my husband's illness. And I find that hugging and kissing and other terms of affection are very satisfying too. And I can't say that I would be unhappy if we were able to do it more often, but I don't feel deprived.
Dr. Robert Butler.
The first language, you might say, of sexuality is that which is very instinctive, youth-oriented, times quite exploratory, even explosive, focused upon performance. But then with time, like so many things in life, there's an accumulation of skill and experience, so that the kind of sexuality that emerges later in life, for example, after the 40s, 50s, 60s, may be oriented more toward nurturance, the relationship, the mutuality, a broader aspect of sensory experience, and not only the experience of intercourse itself.
In the final season of life, sex seems to become a sensuality that pervades the entire body, almost the way it did in infancy. It has for this woman.
I think the quality of sex as you get older is not so much in how powerful the orgasm or how many orgasms you have, but just touching and being together and loving